Oh man, you celebrating your birthday yesterday and you come in bright and early today. I'm proud of you.
Bill, I'm putting myself on probation. So I'll meet these goals. I'm on probation, so it starts today. I woke up, I said, I got to get to it.
Love it. Love it.
But I
All
did
right.
enjoy myself. It was great.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
All right, let's do a little, since we have Marinelli here as well, talk to me about, I'm gonna ask for some honest feedback real fast. You know, we are starting to get some good momentum with many of you guys. We're also starting to get some good momentum with some of the newer agents that are sign. Okay, starting to get some good momentum with some of the newer agents that are getting into transaction quickly, and it's probably not going to be too much longer before we have a larger growth group. However, I still want to make sure that we are giving you guys what you need at a high level. So when I kind of sit back and I say, well, what do they need, right? The first thing that pops into my mind is the fundamentals, right? To confirm that we have all the fundamentals in place. And that would be things like your GPS, your 411, your all the things that I listed out on the fourth quarter GPS. And the next thing, you know, our tendency, I think, is to say, well, I sell a lot of homes, so I don't necessarily need to, you know, focus too much on that stuff. And my response to that is, yeah, you probably actually need to focus more on it, right? Like, how many times have you practiced the listing presentation recently, right? How frequently are you role playing and practicing your scripts, right? Because the next massive adjustment that you're going to make in your business is going from the conversion ratios that you are used to a significantly higher rate of conversion. And that's because your language skills get better, your presentation skills get better, your confidence is better, your knowledge of the marketplace is better, right? Oh, and by the way, of course, you're spending your time more efficiently. So kind of the next level, when I got into coaching, MAPS coaching, really it stopped being about the kind of the creative stuff, and it went more towards the, okay, what are the numbers? Why are they the way they are? How can we improve them? What are you struggling with? What are you doing well? It felt very rigid, but it also got me, it was very rigid, but it also got me focused on the things that move the needle the most, right? So I want to make sure that I'm pouring into you guys with the things that move the needle the most, right? So obviously cover the foundational pieces, but want to make sure that as you're growing your business, you're just not simply like working more. You're taking on more stress, more burdens, less time with the family. Can't remember the last vacation you took, right? Because this is the critical moment where you're starting to build your reputation and your brand. And we don't want your reputation to be, oh, well, I can call Tawantis 24/7 and she'll do whatever I need her to do. And if I need help in Lilburn, she'll be there. If I need help in Gainesville, she'll be there. If I need help in Valdosta, she'll be there, right? You see what I'm saying? So we want to make sure that we're building the business in a way that is in alignment with our long-term plan and the way that we want to operate our business. What are you hearing?
Oh, go ahead. You can start.
No, I was just going to say that to me, Bill, it just sounds like you said you want us to really try to focus on being smart and how we go about executing what our goals are, not just doing something just to do it, but making sure that we are doing the things that we need to build our business to where we want it to go. And that's kind of like focusing on what's your goal and kind of sticking to that versus deviating and getting into all of the kind of stuff. That's what it sounds like to me.
Right. It's kind of like you go to a convention and you come back and you're like, oh my gosh, I got 17 new ideas. And then like a couple of them get done poorly and the rest of them never get touched, right? That's because of a lack of focus, right? To say, hey, I learned a new open house strategy and I'm going to double down, triple down, quadruple down on that. and go build a big business based on that. And then when that starts working and you want a different type of buyer or seller, you go adopt another strategy too. But you don't want to go master 25 different things, right?
Well, I guess what I hear you asking is, are you giving us what we need to do that? And
that's a good nuanced question. So I guess that I believe that to be true. Now you tell me what type of value that you may be getting or not getting that we can begin to incorporate.
I believe that we do need to revisit the basics all the time. But for me, I've been thinking, with this is a conversation we've had, and I've been thinking about this, is the hard part with PC for me, Bill, is that I'm dealing with those fundamentals with brand new agents all the time. And yes, I need to hone my listing presentation, but I don't need to learn my listing presentation.
Okay.
I need to hone my skills, sharpen my skills, put a point on the pencil, but I don't need to learn how to use the pencil.
Okay, so
does that make sense?
I think, let me clarify that. So if I were to say practice and rehearse your listing presentation, do you consider that sharpening the pencil or using the pencil?
Say that again.
So what were you used two words with respect to the pencil? Like, is it the basics or is it, say your phrase one more time.
I need to learn how to sharpen my pencil, not use my pencil.
Okay, got it. So if I were to encourage you to, if we were to sit together and say, hey, this is a high level group, let's practice our listing presentation. Would you say, Bill, thank you, this is what I really wanted, this is sharpening my pencil? Or would you say, this sounds more like using your pencil?
I think if I was practicing with people who already knew their listing presentation, whatever that may be,
okay,
it would be better for me. And that's just me, is because, yes, the people who don't have any experience have something to say, and it's valid, and I learn from them every day. But the people I learn the most from are the people who are in my area or higher. Because they have already walked in my shoes. So they have the same blisters I do. And together we can figure out how to ease our blisters, as it were.
Yeah.
Trying to use these analogies this morning. I'm not sure.
No, you're right on. I like all this stuff. So okay, so I appreciate that you sharing that. So here's a couple of thoughts that we could maybe improve this with. So the first is one thing that really, quite honestly, hasn't taken off that as well as I thought it would, was the growth WhatsApp group. Basically, everything is happening within the announcements page and the help page, and the way I see it is sometimes there's not a lot of high level camaraderie because, if I can be frank, these sessions are relatively poorly attended, right? And there's not a lot of integration within or not a lot of action within the small group, right? So if we had more action within the small group, if we had maybe some additional accountability or some higher level ideas or questions, or I'm happy to obviously play my part in that group too, but it's been pretty inactive lately. Maybe we could also do like, I'm open just about anything. I mean, maybe we could do our session in person.
You and I are pretty much the only two that attend this at 8 in the mornings.
Right, and Tawantis is there quite frankly, or quite often as well. And if you look in the
Marinelli's here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I made it clear at the beginning that 8 was too early for me.
Yeah, so that's the other
But you know what? But Bill, guess what? For what Jan is saying, I think that's actually a excellent suggestion that she's kind of making there, because maybe that 8 o'clock could be a time as well where individuals who are a little bit more, along the way as far as not needing to know how to do the listing, where we can kind of come and we can focus more on how we're sharpening more of how we're doing and implementing everything, like what Jan is kind of alluding to. I think it's what it sounds like she's saying. I think that's a great time, right?
Yeah. And it's not that I don't want to help new agents, because I've always been a proponent of that, because when I came into this business, they've always helped me. But at the end of the day, they have to help themselves. And there's only so much time in my day that I can apply to learning, and to continue to relearn what they're learning is not doing me any good.
Right. Like my thought is this,
my needle.
I mean, I have 15 people in this group, in theory, 15 people. So then the question is how can we make this so important and so valuable that no one misses it? So number one, we have to talk about the time that it happens. Is this the right day and is this the right time? Kind of sounds like we have some mixed reviews on that. And secondly, what is the content that I can deliver and that you guys can bring that will make this I will not miss this meeting. I don't care if I'm on vacation and I, put my headphones in while I'm laying in bed and you got a black square or something. I'm not missing this meeting because I'm going to learn something that I didn't know before I signed on, right? So what, off the top of your head, what are some of those concepts? What are some of the gaps in your particular business that you can share with others? Because the idea of a mastermind is really, I mean, again, I'm totally flexible to do whatever you want me to do, but a mastermind is really supposed to be facilitated by me, and the content is kind of delivered by you guys, right? It's like Jan comes up and says, hey, I got this challenge in Roswell with this listing. What do you think about this price? Let's really get into the nitty gritty about it, right? Or, hey, how are you guys using Keller offers at a high level? Or, hey, have you noticed this new thing in Command, right? It's supposed to be more, agent driven, and I'm more the moderator, if you will. Now, obviously, I'm happy to deliver the content, but the mastermind is not just a forum where I, teach more. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I don't know. You guys help me out here, but I don't have it in me, Bill, to think up crap to think about. I know that sounds terrible, and I'm not a morning person, guys, but I get up at 8 o'clock every Wednesday morning to be here because somebody else voted for Wednesday mornings. I don't know who did it, but I don't think they're here. And I'd like to go back and have a conversation with those people. No, I'm just kidding. I'm up and working every morning at 8. Not beautiful. I signed into Zoom today. Do you guys get to look at my picture?
It's a beautiful picture.
But thank you, Bill.
It is.
I
tell you, your picture was taken by the photographer that Stacy hired many years ago, and you have by far the best picture of any of us that got photographed that day.
Oh no, I just got mine done recently.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah, that's my most recent one. Got it done a couple months.
Like the one that was taken a couple years ago. All right, never mind. Okay, so the person that voted for 8 a.m. ain't in the room right now. So is this the right time? Or not the right time?
It doesn't matter.
I think it's a great time for a high level, like what Jan is suggesting, because everybody's not going to get up. So that's already kind of like, to me, an indicator of like, okay, where you are in a sense. I'm waking up because I want to get more, right? So yeah, I'll get up earlier than everybody else. I think that definitely should be like the first. To me, the time is ideal. In other words.
Yeah. Anyone else want to comment, share?
I'm okay with the time actually, because to do stuff in the middle of the day is just really difficult. I can't come at noon because at noon I need to be focusing on my business and going out to lunch with potential clients and networking or sitting at my desk in the middle of my marketing, and to stop, and that's the problem with Zoom meetings. It's made all of these classes so accessible to people, great, but it also is a huge distraction from our businesses. So I'm okay with this time.
Okay. So here's what I would love to do. I'm going to remind everyone today that we have a growth group chat and we have a launch group chat. And for those that are in the growth group, I'm going to encourage them to be more active in the growth group so that we can make quick decisions just like this. Hey, should we keep it at Wednesday at 8? Yes or no? Raise your hand if yes, don't raise your hand if no, right? And we can make quick decisions like this on the fly. And then I'm going to encourage everyone to give me some feedback on the day and time. Is the day okay?
I think it's fine, Bill.
Okay. If you were to, I want you to think about your biggest gap in the business right now. What's the one thing that you think is separated? It could be a skill, it could be a piece of technology, it could be a presentation or a script or something. What's the biggest thing right now that is standing in your way of you moving your business forward one more step?
For me, Bill, it's the art of language. I know there's like a book or something about that. It's a certain way that you can say things, you know, I mean, yes, thank you. That's it. That's my skill that I need to work on.
I'm in the middle of this class right now. I've taken it before. This is a 2.0 version of it. It's probably not too late to register for it, honestly. It's a maths class. I think it's like $199. It's for 2 months. It's once a week from 2 to 3. It's actually on Wednesdays. I highly recommend you enroll in this type of course. So I was just actually listening to some of the things on the way in today. I'm one session behind, but for example, they're talking about acknowledging and validating certain phrases that you would use. Today I was relearning the idea of what's called, the section is called powerful questions, how to ask powerful questions. I was going to do a little bit of this today with the group, but I'll give you a pointer real fast. So asking a question that starts with why is not a powerful question, okay? If I say, why is 8 o'clock not a good time for you? The first thing you say, your body gets into defensive mode, and therefore it's harder to create alignment and synergy, right? We're trying to get on the same page with these people. We're not trying to get on opposite sides, right? So if you say, you know, why are you not, you know, willing to lower the price? That's not gonna end the way you want it to end, probably, right? Powerful questions begins with words like how, where, what, who, say more, tell me, when, if. They're open-ended, right? They're solution-oriented. They seek clarity. They're thought-provoking, right? How does that fit into your plan? What is the outcome you're looking to achieve? When would it make sense to have a conversation about this? Where will that take you? Not, you know, why did you paint your room purple?
So
Right.
how about if we study over the, you know, maybe once a month we pick a new, it's like a book club, and work on that, and then you facilitate it by like, let's take that and you give us 5 topics to, you know, five things like price reduction, cleaning your house up, you know, I don't know, help me out here, guys. Some other things that you would typically have a conversation with a seller or a buyer. And we come up with our language of, pattern of language for that. And then we share it, and maybe we can learn from the others.
I think that would be fantastic. I mean, I'm more than happy to share some of the content. Like, for example, I could say, like, I have the class from at 2 o'clock today. Okay, so at 2 o'clock today, or 3 o'clock today when I'm done, I could say, here's a couple of topics that I learned. Here's a good way to approach it. You know, I want you to write down a couple of sentences or some phrases, or here's a couple of topics that I want you to, you know, let's talk about setting an appointment with these concepts. Let's talk about getting a price reduction with these concepts. Let's talk about setting a expectations of a vendor or something with these concepts, right? We can choose to say the phrase this way, or we can choose to say it an adjusted way, right?
Marinelli, is that what you were thinking?
Yes, absolutely. I think that that's a great idea is what you were saying, like maybe once a month or something like that. Or just even, weekly, maybe like,
Yeah.
when you send out, the PC email on Sunday night or something, like maybe you include in there, okay, growth topic this week is X. And then, we all kind of, are well aware of what we're going to talk about Wednesday morning, and we're prepared. And so, we pop in at 8 o'clock, and I'll be way more willing to wake up knowing like this is what we're doing.
No, that's fantastic. And I appreciate this feedback, you guys. So I'll give you one more example, right? So we're learning about this thing called modal operators. Does anyone know what a modal operator is?
No.
So it's an indication of how an individual is operating in the world as it relates to a specific topic. It's a verb that modifies another verb. So it functions similarly to an adverb. And an example of that would be, I have to lead generate, or I must do it now, or I need to take a listing, right? So you can, based on the modal operator that your listener or the person you're talking to is using, it could indicate how they're seeing this particular topic. Let me give you an example, another example. Let's use setting an appointment for a second. Okay, I want to set an appointment. I have to set an appointment. I need to set an appointment. I can set an appointment, or I choose to set an appointment. Guys, see, some of those are being discussing kind of necessity. They have like a theme of necessity. Some have a theme of possibility, and some have a theme of choice. Choice is obviously the most powerful, right? You take the most ownership of that. You take the most responsibility for that. I need to set an appointment. It's like you're running from fear rather than running towards achievement or pleasure. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's these kind of concepts. You can listen for things like should, these are necessity, should, must, have to, ought to. Possibility is can, able to, capable, will. Probability, could, may, might, had better. And choice is choose, select, or decide. Right? What's more, like there's a concept called recovery questions that says, I can't write the offer. The buyer says, I can't write the offer. And you could say, is it that you can't or that you won't? Right? Because we know it's possible. I mean, they certainly could. But that's not what they're talking about. They're basically saying they're not willing to. Right? I can't write the offer. And then you could say, well, what happened if you did write the offer? Right? Another series of recovery questions are, what would happen if you did? What would happen if you didn't? Right? What's the worst thing that could happen? What would the consequences be? What stops you? What would happen if you could? Right? If they say, I can't write the offer, and you say, why not? They say, well, they get defensive, and now you've lost any connection that you had. If you say, what would happen if you did? They would say, well, that's a good question. Maybe they'll agree to sell me the home under terms that I'm comfortable with, and maybe this could be the one. Say, great. Is that something that you want to consider? Right? What do you have any other questions that would give you enough confidence to take that step? You see how it's that little nuance in the words we use and the way we say those words that is going to help them get to where they want to be. Y'all follow that?
Yep.
That's what you were kind of referring to, right, Marinelli?
Yeah, that's perfect. Love it.
So again, it's knowing what questions to ask, right? And knowing, to some degree what order to ask them in. And then, most people don't speak. Did you, when you were at Mega Camp and when you were in Bold, you know how they always say and yet rather than but?
Yep.
That's not that's intentional, right? Because they're trying to tell their subconscious, or they're trying not to tell their subconscious that there's a negative to come. Like if I were to say, Charleston, I like that shirt, but you're like, oh, what's he gonna say now? Say, I like that shirt, but it's too big on you, right? You're expecting something negative to come after that, right? But if I say, hey, I like that shirt, and yet, you know, it would go better with a yellow tie or something like that, it feels different. Y'all follow that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, you know, MAPS has, you know, like, I don't know, probably 50 different courses. I've taken probably, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 of them. And I've got a lot of material from those classes, MAPS models we can go through. Many of us are probably ready for some of that. We've been doing a lot of MAPS models as a leadership team, studying of that stuff too. So I'm more than happy to just like, and I appreciate whoever came up with this idea, giving a theme to the morning meetings, giving a theme.
Yeah, because you know, I think it would be, it's better for us if, you know, if it's interactive and it's, as Marinelli said, we can be prepared for the meeting. We know what, you know, we know what the meeting's about. And, you know, I think there should be preparation for us for this meeting in some way, shape, or form, even if it's come up with, you know, 2 questions based on this, or, you know, because
a piece of homework would be something like, hey, you want to set an appointment, but the listener is apprehensive. You come up with a phrase that acknowledges and validates their need. So you might say, I hear you saying that setting an appointment is making you uncomfortable, and it's understandable that you feel that way.
yes.
Right. So that's a language pattern, right? So you're acknowledging that you've heard it. You're validating that they're not the only person in the universe experiencing that. And it levels the playing field, and it gives everyone the confidence that, you know, y'all are on the same team. I hear that. I hear that loud and clear, and I'm super appreciative for you sharing that with me. What other, outside of some language stuff that may be where we can start, what other topics are you feeling like you need some focus on?
I would really like to talk about that new knock home swap program,
Okay.
and how ideas people are using to implement it. Because
Okay.
I think it's a great tool. I'm just having trouble figuring out how to implement it. So I'd like to hear somebody else's ideas on what they're doing.
Great. I've got a couple of people in mind for that are even in the group that are using that at a pretty high level. Heather actually is one of them. Okay. Any other thoughts before we stop and start the recorder?
No.
Okay. Thank you,
Great
guys.
suggestions.
Yeah, I agree. Twantis, do you have anything in mind?
I would love if we could, on one of our sessions, like put down as well, as we do our lead generations and time management, if we can piece those 2 together in a high level as well, just to, I don't know, however, just keep that rolling. So each time that we're actually consistently making sure that this is our habits every day, some way roll that in there.
Got
right?
it.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
Very good. Thank you very much for all that feedback. All right, I'm gonna hit the stop real fast.